think motorhomes in general spark happy memories.
Let's clear this.
There's actually some fantastic news.
It's so hot.
I'll just put the kids in a skip. Before I visit the weighbridge this week, I'm on the hunt for a little metal plaque in somewhere inside Stampy that tells me exactly what our capacity is. Aha. That's the one we want. I'm looking for two numbers really, according to what guides I've read, and the truck's giving me 4. So I'm looking for the MTPLM, the maximum technically permissible laden mass, which should be the bigger number, and our MIRO, our mass in rolling order, I think it stands for, which is our minimum. So the minimum one should be the weight of the van with a driver and perhaps a portion of fuel in, but with no extras. So the difference of the two is the key number for me. Now I'm gonna have to go and grab the manual because I've got this weight, and a 1 and a 2. Let's see what the manual says. There's this manual, the 2010 one, although mine's a 2012, but it's pretty useless. There's some notes here about A, B, C and D. This is where your stats should be. Here's an example of a piece of paper I don't have. There's another brochure that came with the van, this 2011 one. And in here we have the Karaoke 706, that's us. And it says here, maximum technically permissible weight, 3.5 ton, great. And the weight unladen in running conditions, I think that's the MIRO one, the mass in running order, 2980 to 3. So the difference is 520 kilos. So we're going to go to the weighbridge with the aim of being as close to this or below it. To get anywhere near that 3 ton minimum, we're going to have to clear some stuff out. We don't have a drain for the grey waste, so I'm putting it in a bucket for now. Well, that should help. Okay, we're on to about the 3rd bucket now. It just keeps on coming. Didn't realise we'd used so much water. In fact, we've been driving this and using fuel to drive this grey water around for the last few days. Poor old Stampy. Must have been really desperate. Well, that's it. About 3.5 buckets load. So what I'm going to do is leave that open just to let the last few drips come out, and on the drive there, any water that's still inside will just find its way hopefully to this end. Right, so that's the grey water done. I've actually still got some clean water in here from our trip yesterday. So the clear water though, clean water, is a little bit harder to find. There's no kind of pipe visible from the outside. It's somewhere underneath here, and then inside the van under the seat there's a little valve I need to switch to get that. And whatever water comes out of here, of course, on a day like today where it's apparently going to be 31 degrees, the plants will happily take any fresh water. So we can lift this up, and just down here behind is the valve to let stuff out. Now sometimes there's 2 valves, one to give you to drain your water to allow you to have a minimal amount, like a sort of reserve tank, and then one to let everything out. For some reason, oh, there's some homemade stuff and a pen that fell down the other day. For some reason this van only has the 1 valve to let water out, so I'll attempt to turn that without breaking it. There we go. That should hopefully be draining whatever we've got in there. So this might take a while. Here we go again. This one's a bit slower.
Let's clear this. that's everything from the inside.
And now for the outside. I think we're good to go. Well, I'm normally quite optimistic about these things, but I have to say there are some omens out there. I've just left the house and I managed to drive over the very bucket I was draining the clean water from. So not only have I haven't exactly kicked the bucket today, I've driven over it. I'm on my way to a food park just outside Chichester on the south coast in West Sussex today. That's one of the 3 closest public weighbridges. And they all seem to have a fee of about £10, so which is fine. The whole trip is going to take me over an hour to get there and get back, sadly. And I think we've emptied everything we can. However, at the last roundabout, something fell over, so there could be some stowaways. But what's the importance, right? You know, like, things don't weigh much, do they? Or do they? For example, the base weight of this van probably didn't include the bike rack that's on the back. And by the time I get there, I'm going to have about a quarter of a tank of fuel, so I need to check out the capacity of my tank to work out how many kilos of fuel I've got too. It's very easy to be blasé about weight, but if we go over our 3.5 ton weight limit, not only does that risk damaging perhaps our engine or putting a strain on it, it makes us less efficient for fuel, but more importantly, it renders our insurance invalid. And you can imagine a situation in a crash where our van could be written off and I won't be able to claim on that. I'll personally be liable for all damages and injuries to the third party. Plus, I could have injured my own family. You know, ignorance is no defence in court, so better to be wise and better to pay for it. And you know, there are penalties if you don't have insurance when you drive, of course. So you've got fixed financial penalties, there's points on your licence, so they're worth thinking about. So on days like today where it's supposed to be 31 degrees, I wish I had aircon. This is my aircon, circa 1980. Wind your window down. Well, sadly, despite my optimism, when I got the box home, it was dead on arrival. To be fair, it's probably been on the shelf for 3 years, so it could be that, or it could be my complete lack of technical expertise in this area. The back certainly looked dated. Anyway, the extension I bought from Amazon, that'll be going back, and that's the end of that. Right, back to the weighbridge. Well, this will be fun. I've just realised that Google Maps was talking absolute nonsense about where I'm going today, and that's because on our little work day, home ed day out, I must have used up the very last drips of data that my allowance gives me, having lost most of it to the kids on holiday. So outside of the house, Google Maps is useless, and I'm going to have to just wing this one based on my photographic memory of exactly where this weighbridge is. Photographic, but more in a kind of old disc camera kind of way. Just wondering what the collective now might be for cars that trail motorhomes. Up till now I've been calling them tag nuts, which seems a bit rough and offensive, or it seems a bit unnecessarily aggressive. For those of you who don't know that reference, it's the dry little pellets of poop on the back of sheep's wool that don't fall off. Okay, here we are then, Chichester Food Park, and where do I go? I am, oh, that's Bartholomew, so here we go. And there's the weighbridge, I guess, right in front of me. I might as well just queue up to go on there and run in and pay somebody. So I better get ready to take even my last minute bottle of water out. It's going to weigh something. In all incoming vehicles and business reports, the weighbridge office, please use the gantry, so we've got to go upstairs. high visibility jackets must be one in this area. Whoops. I've got that. Right. Let's leave Stampy here. And go and see our man up in the gantry. So the chaps just asked me to go upstairs. He also asked me whether I wanted a weight for front and rear, which must be something to do with articulated trucks with their cabs and their trailers. And I've just asked obviously for like a full body weight. So I'm going up there to meet him now. Tell you what, if you don't like heights, walking over a grill with a spinning fan below your feet is it's always a good one. It also gives me another chance to have a look at my roof. That's going to need some kind of cleaning. Oh yeah. Well, as I make my way back down to Stampy, I've got some good news for him, her, it. So although there's one or two odds and sods still inside the van, the furnishings, odd bits of homeschool like pens or dirt even, there's actually some fantastic news. Now, I've got a quarter of a tank still in the van. I've got to work out yet what that equates to. However, the man upstairs and the machine below the van have concluded that Stampy only weighs 2.9, so 2,900 kilos, 100 below what I thought we would get. So that's 100 kilos gained. With our maximum weight being 3.5 tons, we've now got 600 kilos to play with. Woo! Do you know what's great? Two things that were great just then. Not only is Stampy 100 kilos less than I thought it was at 2,900, which means we've got more room for more stuff, but just having the van alone sparks conversations with people who might otherwise not speak to you. They want to tell me all about their trip to Why and somewhere else up the country. I think motorhomes in general spark happy memories, and that's what I want for our kids and our family. And me. The thing that I'm shocked about is that we're under 3,000. Admittedly, I wasn't in the van, but I'm only about 70 odd. But there's the bike rack on the back, and I've got a quarter of a tank of fuel. So it's great to know that, roughly speaking, give or take a little bit here and there, we've got some contingency when it comes to our 500 kilo payload. The payload being the difference between our maximum weight and our base rate. That's great. Great news. Now we've just got to get back, weigh everything we've dumped on the lawn and put it back in the van, and then weigh everything that we're going to put in the van from then onwards until we get close to our 3,500. Someone messaged us and said that they had seen in Germany a very strict policy of stopping motorhomes and checking their weight on a weighbridge with a skip by the side of the road for all the stuff you're going to have to get rid of if you're overweight. Yeah, if it was me, it might be full of kids. Love you. It's also a little bit odd. The Stampy came in on exactly 2,900. I'm not going to argue. I mean, the number works in my favour. It just seems odd that, what, not 2,904? If there's a couple of kilos spare, well, that means more room in the fridge for mummy petrol.
Hello, we are doing this vital weights exercise on the hottest day ever recorded in, I think it's the UK. I'm recording it all into my notes section on my phone. I've got my weight, and then Daryl's going to pass me things, and then of course we'll minus our weight, which will give us the weight of the object, and pop it on top of whatever Stampy weighed at the weighbridge.
Started to rain.
And the kettle doesn't weigh anything.
sadly these scales keep turning off and they're not registering the smallest things. So we're going to go inside and find some kitchen scales to do the last few bits, and that'll give us a rough idea of what our total weight is.
It's so hot.
So, as well as finding a couple more things today that made their way to the weighbridge with us, I also realised last night that I'd left the toilet cassette in and it's been used a couple of times. So I'm going to go and grab the cassette now and stand on the scales with it, and then empty it, and then re-stand on the scales and take the difference off of our total. Lovely job. Yummy. Right. Let's zero that. And now I'm going to empty it. And now, with an empty cassette. I have to say, emptied it just now is a real doozy. Okay, that's it, I've got the difference. That's it, we can add it all up. Right, well thanks for watching if you've watched this far. A long story cut short, it added up to about 50 kilos for the basic bits and bobs that we weighed and put on. Obviously we were carrying a little bit of water in the toilet cassette, we've also got gas in the gas bottle I realised. But 50 kilos or thereabouts, and then we weighed all the kids and myself and Bee, and minus our 17-year-old who isn't joining us on our next trip, we added up to about 210 kilos. So all in all about 260 kilos out of our 600. So we've got about 340 kilos left to play with for food, for clothing, for bodyboards, particular wetsuits for our next trip. So until our next escape, there's a clue. Thanks for watching.